Hey everybody again. I had just getting done making a video letting everybody know about the new videos to come. So this is one of the first ones. I would like to make a series of how-to videos and how to know, it's a very popular question people ask, like how do you know when you're ascended master, or how do you know when your kundalini is awakening, right? So now I'm gonna make one, how do you know when you're woke? I'm also gonna know I'm gonna make a video of like the difficulties to being woke. That's gonna be like part two, and I'll also have a video where I explain all the different metaphors that I can to liken the experience of being woke. Right? Obviously, there's a metaphor of psychedelics, and there's one of a dream. But I'm gonna so again, these are just little things for you to know to come. But for this one, and this is gonna be the first time that I use notes. Every other video I've ever made for you guys has been like completely just off the top of my head. But how do you know if you're woke? Being woke is a lot like being gay, or at least somewhat like being gay, in that everybody is a little bit gay, right? Everybody has some level of masculine and feminine within us, and within this world of duality, which is what we're in. Although I believe that oneness is the primary reality, I don't neglect, I don't pretend that this is not also real, and this is what I consider a secondary reality of duality and form. So, whilst we are in duality and form, we each have a little bit of that within us. A little, a little gay, a little straight, a little masculine, a little feminine, a little woke, a little sleep. So, this the sleepy self is kind of like that self that thinks that it is a permanent entity which is separate somehow from the rest. And in our current worldview, especially as we are taught by science today, there's this sort of concept that if it's something separate from me and there's like space between me and it, then we are therefore not connected. There's no longer a connection. Like I would have to touch let's see, this chair for us to be connected. But most of us already are realizing that no, there's the space between us is not dead space. There's actual woke space. Like this space between us is part of the same dream and part of the same consciousness, part of the same greater self. So when you're woke, when you're starting to feel a little woke, let's say you've been meditating, you will know that you're feeling woke, because when you open your eyes, the exterior world will seem as though it is still the same world that you were perceiving and experiencing with your eyes closed. Which is to say, when you open your eyes, the exterior world will seem to have become sucked into your mind. Like your mind will expand so far and so great so that it becomes vast enough to just fit what you see, and the sky becomes like the container of your mind, and it's almost like you're walking around within your own mind, and that's what's called Buddha mind. And when you meet someone who is in a state of Buddha mind, that person is meeting you as the Buddha. Like they will, a woke person, somebody is fully present in that wokeness, awake, completely awake, will recognize any other human that they interact with as Buddha in the Buddha mind dream that we are all sharing. I'm Buddha, you're Buddha, your dog is Buddha, the leash that you use to walk your dog, that's Buddha too, or you can call it God, or you can call it consciousness, or you can call it love. But the veil of separation that disconnects subject from the object is lifted once you start to feel really woke. So, similar to the metaphor of being woke is kind of like being gay. It's a lot like being gay in the sense that everybody has a little bit of that in them. And everybody has a sleepy self and a woke self, an ignorance and a knowing, an overactive thinking mind, and a calmer, softer, intuitive mind. And a lot of the woke process is to re-educate and rehabituate yourself so that the patterns of behavior are leading you towards balance rather than further and further away from balance. What do I mean by balance? Well, if your attention is being pressed out into the world, 16 hours of your waking consciousness, and then you spend about 20 minutes giving yourself that same attention and receiving love and using the sort of meditations that I've described as pure meditation, if you only spend 20 minutes of attention upon attention and love being directed back upon the self, and then the rest of the 15 hours and 40 minutes of the day you're just looking at your thoughts, attention is being pressed, then there's no balance in that one, right? So we would create little habits and fun ways to do what I call mind dilations, mental dilations throughout the day. When I'm driving, boom, you just like take your attention away from the thoughts and into the self, into like you literally do 180 degrees with the attention. Here are the thoughts, here's your mind's attention, here, and here's this, here's cars on this, whatever it is that you're looking at. And even if you are looking beyond your thoughts, everything you're looking at in the so-called outside world is being filtered through your thoughts, which is a construct of society, which isn't even you. So we can get back to that later. That's basically what the sleepy self is, a construct of society, which isn't you. It's just a bunch of beliefs and things that have been cultivated around you and conditioned around you. But anyhow, once you take that attention this way, past the thoughts and back upon the self, and you receive that love, then you start to when you open your eyes again, you see that stuff that looked so distant and so alien, not you, becomes very much you. And if somebody were to throw a rock at that tree, you would feel it like they were throwing a rock at your sister or something. Because the same amount of solidarity and connection that you feel towards your immediate family gets more and more expanded as you expand your heart and your mind, and you get less and less of this ego contraction of me and more of we, like what the we me of infinity is what I used to call it. So yeah, there's I me, and then there's the we me of infinity, and I also call it the woke me. And if the woke me is really on and really dominating my day in that moment, I am one with and in love with whoever and whatever is in that moment present, being presented to me in that moment. And I experience myself as the container of the moment and not a subject within the moment to which things are happening. So I feel like that may have been a little too much information. Luckily, it's very easy to rewind and recap. I do have my notes here, which I didn't refer to so much, but yeah, in other words, the sleepy self, which is the ego, is basically a portion of the ultimate reality or infinite consciousness, which has fallen asleep and dreams up a world in which the sleepy self itself is the main character and the center of the universe, the central focus through which the world is met. And this sleepy self feels too inadequate. It feels too small to encounter this world. And therefore, you start to have all this defense mechanisms, and we put up walls, when in reality, this big world is taking place within a dream that formed as this little bit of ultimate reality fell asleep. And by simply expanding that contraction that dilation and waking up a little bit, you begin to recognize that there is no victimhood here, that the stuff that's going on around you is an ongoing creative process of love. It's a labor of love, that we're co-creating this as infinite beings having a series of finite experiences. I hope that was too much. Stay tuned. I will talk more about the sleepy self. Maybe I'll just read from my notes because they're so much more precise. But if you have any comments, please, I would love to hear any feedback. If you know anybody that could point me in the right direction towards creating a better video format or anything like that, any sort of networking that could be helpful, I am just like in love with this process of sharing the information. So anybody that wants to help, please link me up, make a comment, find me on Facebook, and you can also find my website and all that stuff. It's gonna be all in the comments. So thank you so much.